Hey there, we're going to fill in our levels of organization foldable. So what we're going to do is in our notebook, for our next page, we're going to title this Levels of Organization. You also need to make sure you update your table of contents with this page number. So when you are ready to start this activity, you need to make sure you have cut out each of these flaps. And basically what you'll do is the largest flap for organism, you will just glue that straight down into your notebook, okay? And then the next one, organ system, you'll cut out and you will glue or tape the hinge, and then you'll just keep going, right, until it's smaller and smaller, okay? And then that'll create the foldable for you. If you need any help putting this foldable together, please let me know. I do 100% recommend that you put the foldable together before you start filling in the notes. So if you do still need to do that, please pause this video and do that, and then come back. So we're going to start right with our smallest level of organization, which is the cell. So let's zoom in just a smidgen for you now. So a cell is the basic unit of life, okay? There are a lot of different kinds of cells, a lot of different types of cells, and every cell performs its own specific function or has its own job. So in our previous set of notes, we said that one way to tell the difference between a plant cell and an animal cell was that animal cells are typically drawn as a circle. That is true for some cells, like a red blood cell. But other cells, other animal cells, are not circles. This type of cell that I've drawn right here, and I want to say I'm so proud of myself for this drawing. But this is a nerve cell, and it looks nothing like a red blood cell, which is that classic circle we're used to, because the shape of the cell is determined by its function. So nerve cells tend to be really long and kind of gangly because it's their job to send messages, and so they need to be really long. So there are many different types of cells and many different shapes of cells because of the job or the function of that cell. So just keep that in mind, okay? If I take a bunch of cells and I put them together, I can make a tissue. A tissue is made of cells that all look the same and cells that all perform the same function, okay? So the cells within a tissue are going to work together to perform some type of specific activity in order to keep you alive or to keep the organism alive, okay? There are 4 different types of tissues within the human body. Do you need to know these? No. Is it an interesting fact if you're going into the medical field? Yes. There are connective tissues, epithelial tissues, muscle tissue, and nervous tissues. I will never ask you this on a quiz, but I just think it's an interesting thing for us to know. So, basic unit of life is a cell. Take a bunch of cells, put them together, and you can make a tissue. Take a bunch of tissues, put them together, and you can make an organ. So an organ is made of many tissues that are working together to perform a specific function that keeps the organism alive, okay? So, for example, right, you have a brain, which is part of the nervous, right, it's made of nerve cells, okay? So organs are just a bunch of tissues put together to keep you alive. If I take a bunch of organs and put them together, I get an organ system. An organ system is a group of organs all working together, and they depend on each other to keep you alive or to keep the organism alive, to carry out functions. So again, for example, you have your nervous system, okay, which is made up of all, like your brain and your spinal cord and all of your nerve cells. But then you also have your respiratory system, which would be your lungs. Okay, so organ systems are groups of organs all working together to perform a specific function that is keeping you alive. If I take a bunch of organ systems and put them together, I get an organism. Okay? So the organism is the entire living thing made up of multiple organ systems all working to keep it alive. Okay? Now, one thing for us to remember is that only multicellular organisms have different levels of organization. So pretty much only eukaryotic organisms, so plants, animals, fungi, okay? When we get into unicellular organisms like bacteria, because they're made up of only one cell, they don't have tissues or organs. They're a single cell. So only multicellular organisms are going to have levels of organization, which pretty much means only eukaryotic organisms, okay? So that is it for our levels of organization. If you have any questions or concerns, you feel like I missed something here, or if I made a mistake, please absolutely let me know.